I was waiting for us to finish the by-election so I can have this very important but very short conversation, and I'd like to address it to four groups of people. The first, the CS Tourism. The second, KWS. The third, Narok County. Hi, Governor. And the fourth is the Ritz-Carlton, in that order. Madam CS, in the 62 years that this nation has existed, we have never had the sort of digital footprint or awareness for our brand as Kenya and for the Masai Mara as we had. Ask those techies who work in your ministry to let you know it's a digital impression of Masai Mara and the word Kenya. Don't even add Ritz-Carlton to it. Since August 2025. It absolutely surpasses anything we've had since 1963. That's the good news, okay? My question to you is, and this is where now I want you, Narok County and KWS to come together. How come we don't have a way people must behave when they're interacting with this natural resource of ours? It doesn't have to be in the Mara. It can be in the Amboseli, in the Savo. When I visit other countries, there are places I'm told, you can't do this, you can't do that. You can't take a picture here. There are temples where I can't take pictures. And before the Ritz-Carlton, and I have a feeling this was a spiral, earlier this year, we had people, this color, who were at the Wildebeest migration, who were standing in the way of those animals doing what they're supposed to do. We never charged that guy, and I'll tell you why, because you have nothing to hold them on. We never woke up, you, Madam CS, KWS, and Narok County, never sat together and said, this is how you will interact with this great resource, a wonder of the world when you come to our country. You have no rules of how many cars can be packed at the Mara River. You have no rules of what is the capacity of people who can come in and out during the Wildebeest migration. It's a free-for-all. People can do what they want to do. Which brings me now to the Ritz-Carlton. Hi, how are you doing? My name is Caroline Mutoko. Ask about me. You know, I'm not quite sure it works in the rest of the world where you operate, but here, this is Kenya. We are not African. Ask the rest of the continent about us. You need to introduce yourself. I say this without stuttering. 95% of this nation and this region does not know who you are. But I did ask ChatGTP who you are. Of course I know who you are. But like I said, 95% of us have never heard of you until this controversy in the Mara began. It is very important that you actually introduce yourself when you check in, but you didn't. I understand that you're part of the Marriott Group of hotels. I'm made to understand that you own over 120 outlets in about 35 countries. But if you had seen my question, and by the way, I'm a prompt expert when it comes to ChatGPT, I'd asked, and how many outlets do you have in Africa? This is what ChatGPT said. The exact number of hotels in Africa is not specified, but there is at least one. The Ritz-Carlton Masai Mara Safari Camp in Kenya, which opened in 2025. Look at that. This is how you introduced yourself to the continent. That's not how you do it. I mean, the other thing you did wrong, other than not introduce yourself, is that the minute you got into trouble, you went and gagged a Maasai elder. Let me tell you something. You know, if you were having this problem somewhere in Savo with a Taita, maybe you would have a problem in Amboseli. The Maasai. Even we don't mess with the Maasai, and we're Kenyan. Clearly, I don't know who you were working with, but they didn't tell you about the Maasai. And then you gagged him up. This is your foray into Africa. It doesn't work like that. I'm not saying the situation cannot be salvaged. You're already in court. So even my discussion is sub judice. But you have got to get rid of whatever it is you're doing and start this relationship afresh. Because I don't know about you, but my FYP page on TikTok is wild. I can't remember the last time I saw that many blonde chicks out of somewhere in the US talking about my country with passion and pain. I can't remember the last time I saw the sort of pure activism around nature that you've been able to elicit. But let me tell you this. You got a problem, and it's not a PR problem. Nah. It's a trust problem. It's a transparency problem. It's a who are you problem. And like I tell most people, political problems need political solutions. Marketing problems need marketing solutions. Cultural problems need cultural solutions. Before you make the same mistake, some people decide to send clueless people to the promised land. Sit down and ask yourself, if we were to do this again, because you're not leaving, how would we do it? But much as I am as bewildered, pun intended on the wildebeest there, as you probably are, a lot of this sits at the very table of those three people I spoke about. Narok County, KWS, CS Tourism. But I'll say this, in 62 years of the independence of this nation, we have not had the amount of focus we've had on our tourism and in particular the Masai Mara. And it will pay off. The question is, will it pay off for you? The first thing you should have done when you got here is introduce yourself. Who are you? Oh, seriously. Actually, I'm going to do a poll and I'm going to ask one question. Before the saga in the Masai Mara, had you heard of the Ritz-Carlton? And you know, the reason I asked ChatGPT how many outlets you have in Africa is because before I had asked about Africa and it gave me the numbers for Africa and Middle East. You can correct me. I'm open to conversations, but it said 14. And I think I know where most of them are, and they're not in Africa. There's Africa and there's Kenya. Kenya is different. It's a whole other beast. And if I wasn't Kenyan, I'd be scared of Kenya too. You need to fix this. And no amount of PR is going to work for you. But call me after I finish with the CS Tourism. Who, by the way, should be grateful. The Narok governor. Hello, boss. We met years ago. And KWS. It's time to put things in order about how people interact with our natural resources. In a world of Gen Z and in a world where everybody has data bundles, imagine there's some things you just can't play with. And Madam CS, you've tried to do a lot of amazing work on your docket. This one will finish you. You gotta fix it fast. Hi.